welcome. Thank you for being here, Blue. Uh, I was mentioning to chat, I'm very happy to have you because you have the tournament knowledge I do not.
Glad to be here. Thanks for the invite, and hopefully I can help out a little bit.
Yes, you will be much help. So it looks like it's starting in a few minutes. I assume there might be a little bit of a delay. Uh, so let's start here. What are we expecting tonight after the last weekly? What are you hoping to see? Like, what's your feel?
I mean, I know what I'm hoping to see. I don't know if I'm going to see a lot of it, and it's going to be a lot of not Waru, but I wouldn't be surprised if I saw a lot of Waru. Especially after the recent weekend with the 1,000-player plus tournament over in France, where we had 8 of the top 16 being Waru. So, might be seeing a little bit of imitation going around there, especially since I worked a lot trying to publish those deck lists, and I know they're on Twitter at this point too. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're all hoping for. I think, like, for me, the biggest thing is I come from the more casual side, but I still pay attention to the meta and competitive nature of games. And I'd be happy if the top 8 was just more mixed. Um, I'm expecting Waru and Ortis to do well, but if we got a more diverse mix of decks in the top 16 and the top 8, that would make me pretty happy. Also,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we definitely could see that, especially if people are trying the new versions of Waru that they saw from that last event, and they're not sure exactly how to pilot them because they are more aggro Warus. They're not exactly the relax as much type of all bureaucrat Warus, but I don't know. Will be interesting to see. Wouldn't be upset to see some Tasia even, or the
yeah,
like.
yeah. I've seen a lot of people mention that they were really hoping Tasia would do better. Uh, thank you for the follow, Kohlrabi. Thank you. And its performance, I think, at both events was lackluster. Thank you,
Yeah,
Limison.
yeah. In comparison to what we were thinking, I think most people thought Tasia, if we're talking about Ortis with Sig and Waru being the top tier, I think most people thought Tasia could possibly be in the tier 2 level, um, around some other characters, but honestly haven't seen it that much in comparison.
Yeah, I hope so. I do think Tasia's probably the strongest Muna hero right now. So I'm expecting to see it tonight. Whether or not it succeeds in advancing past the early rounds, we'll have to see. All right, we're here with the October 9th, 2024 Altered Weekly Online League, heading into the final match between Pluka and Jackman. What decks are we going to be seeing in the finals?
Yeah, we're looking at the returning champion Pluka on the Waru. He's gonna take it no matter what and try to get the win. And Jackman just pulled off a Fen mirror in the semifinals and is playing Pluka. So it should be a good one. I think fairly two high-tiered heroes, and definitely possible for an upset.
Yep, sounds like it's going to be a fun match, and let's get into the game. Like we mentioned, this is Fen versus Waru. Um, Happy to not see a Waru mirror match. I can't remember, was last week's a Waru mirror match?
I don't believe it was a mirror, but at least top 4 of the top 8 were Waru, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Let's see, just to verify.
Looks like we got an advance from each of them on the first day. Looks like Pluka put the Monolith Gate to sleep on
Yeah,
the last round.
yeah. My mistake. It was a Waru mirror. All top 4 places were Waru,
Okay.
not just top 8.
Hey, like I said, we got what we wanted. We got more variety this week.
Even a Navenka in the top 4. So
Wild. Good job, Navenka player. Proud of you.
I assume it's going to be top 4. I guess technically they could lose their next match too in Swiss, but either way, top 4 in my heart.
Yeah.
Immediate cloth cocoon on the Robin Hood response. Gotta feel good, gotta feel bad losing 2-0 though. But he has he doesn't get affected by the Legat Sabotage at the very least. The Waru is already 3 advances away though. Not the best situation, but at least they got rid of the Robin Hood.
Let's see this unique Bravos Pathfinder 2/2/2. I have seasoned. I've never seen a card say OOF before.
I've seen it a few times. Just the good old-fashioned out-of-faction oof.
And then from anywhere, you may put a card from your hand in reserve. If you do, roll a die. On a 4, I gain 4 up. I gain 2 boosts. On a 1 to 3, I gain 1 boost. So, I mean, not bad. If something wants to be played from reserve and you have the luxury of like losing it or anchoring it on the same turn, you could kind of set up plays that way.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine he was wanting to get that in hand just so he can get a cheap 4/4/4 with 2 costs, but not the worst from reserve. So he'll only get the 1 boost there. And he's going to play the Legat out, sleep it, and work on sabotaging the pesky Fen with all the reserve cards.
Sleeping that one too.
Yeah, double sabotage, but he has nothing in the reserve, so I'm not sure what the goal was there.
I'm
I guess
curious.
Just stat on board, I guess.
I'm curious what Jackman has on hand. They had 2 mana left, and Lyra definitely has something that could have won on the companion side against a 1/1/2 that has lower costs, so that makes me curious what's in their hand.
Yeah, this will be a big turn because Waru's running low on resources. I'm sure the Ozma is helpful. If he doesn't get a double advance here, or at least 1 advance, he's going to be hurting a little bit. Especially with that acapella training to fleet the Legat, but I imagine the sleep's going to come out here on one of the Legats. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
And here comes one more acapella training on the Sandman, or the
Ozma.
Trying to prevent more resources with the card draw, which makes sense.
Got a aloe vera, paying to anchor it.
Gonna take the loss. Means that Waru's just 2 advances away from ending this, but is low on resources technically.
It certainly feels like, at least right now, that cloth cocooning the Robin Hood was not enough. But we'll see what Jackman has in store for this day. Maybe they drew their characters. It does feel like they've been lacking in expedition presence a little bit.
Yeah, they've had a lot of counter elements to prevent the Waru from keeping resources out on the board, but haven't been able to capitalize past that. So the Spycraft is nice. 1 less resource for the Waru, 1 more resupply for them. But at this point, they're pretty much going to want to try to block, if not advance, in both expeditions every single turn, which is pretty not likely. But we'll see what they can do.
Luca needs Forest Water on Hero, Forest on Companion. Jackman needs Forest on Hero, everything on Companion.
Yeah, I think at this point, Pluka's just probably going to prioritize the Hero expedition.
Yeah.
They're already up in stats, and they're not on a single biome of green on the companion expedition that they're probably not going to win against, like a Hatter, for example. But he does go to the right, and I assume this is going to get slept, or is he going to leave it out for pressure? He's leaving it out for pressure. Okay. Basically, now he can't even play the Hatter, which I don't think he was going to anyway, but now he's getting some pressure. With only 5 mana left, it is looking pretty grim for the Fen. We may be into a quick win and repeat championship for Pluka here.
Yep. Certainly looking that way. Both players thinking a decent amount. Top final game makes sense. Nothing at stake here, but when you get to this point, you want to be playing to the best of your ability, just to show respect to your opponent.
Taking some time, like you mentioned. Funny enough, you saw a lot of longer matches in the tournament this last weekend over in France. The farther we got into the top 16, the longer the matches were getting. Half of it was just players looking at the other players' uniques, but the other half was them actually taking a look at taking their time on the matches, right? When they're not as restricted, especially since it was always a best of one. They didn't have any BO3s even in the top 16, so took their time a little bit more. Longer matches doesn't hurt now either, especially in the finals match. May as well figure out all your outs and see if you can pull a comeback at all. But like we mentioned, I don't see that as likely in this scenario. I don't know what's in hand, but at 5 mana left, it's looking pretty rough.
Yeah. How long were the matches in the tournament in France?
For the top 16, they were getting a bit longer. I think on average they were like close to 25-30 minutes. But I also know that they made the decision on best of ones, so he does end up playing the Hatter. Interesting.
Yeah, the Inkcaster had the cost 1 less support ability.
Yeah, but yeah, once they changed to best of ones in the top 16, they kind of started taking their time a little bit more, just from like what I saw on stream. And everything past that obviously was restricted, and I think it was almost like 10-ish o'clock by the time they hit the top 16, which is why they decided to go to best of ones instead of best of threes.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Unfortunate, because they were planning on doing best of threes, but this was also it should have been a 2-day tournament, but it was a side event that turned into a really long 1-day tournament with 1,000+ people. So
looks like we got the Robin Hood back. They could Cloth Cocoon it, but leaving them with 4 mana, leaving both of them with 4 mana, kind of leaving it up almost to fate if Pluka has anything in his hands.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Jackman has in hand, but I feel like if he has anything at all that's low cost, he has to Cloth Cocoon here and hope that Pluka just didn't get what they need in hand. You don't really have another choice, because if you can pull out a 2-0 here, you have card advantage over the Waru, and you could potentially pull out an upset here, but maybe all of our woe was for nothing. But we'll have to see how this afternoon turns out. Again, taking his time on this, and I do say woe on purpose. Pluka, get off the Waru. We don't care anymore.
Yeah, like I said in a previous match, 2 weeks is enough. You can get first place with another deck. It's cool.
Yeah.
Right,
spread your wings.
Got the Cloth Cocoon.
Yeah, so he does Cloth Cocoon, so this is either just he has to play it attempt, or he actually has something in hand, so we'll see. Thoth comes out, he is sleeping it, so he is playing for next turn.
Yep.
If he has anything where he can 2-0 here, that would be ideal, but I'm sure he'll just take the 1. Does he have Martingale in hand for the 2-0?
That would certainly be big.
I imagine he had something at least, because otherwise he would have just played the aloe vera, would he not?
Oh, Checkman just said he missed that Fluka slept the Thoth, so could have been a misplay right now, although the result's kind of the same if you play it on the other side.
Well, play what you were going to play from hand, Jackman, so we know what your misplay was. Wow, ads. Let me get in there.
Apologies. You know, I need my dollars. Fluka
so we'll do our best. Yeah.
Yeah, Fluka's invoking Ortis Recruit, and the companion side, I kind of trying to shore up.
Yeah, he's companion side with the Thoth. Still 1 away. Probably going to stack up the companion side to just win the 1 side. I don't know. I don't think Fen has any mass removal that can stop that. Is trying to win in green though, so.
Eric did mention that the misplay was that he could have anchored instead of playing the card he played to set up better for the next day. Which,
well, yeah, that's what I was talking about as far as playing the aloe vera and everything. But I don't know. Unfortunate, I guess. Pay attention.
Yeah. We got an Ortis Recruit on the hero side.
From Waru effect. Past that, Jackman is making the first play, and we're back.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope the ad was good. Probably wasn't.
I think mine was for IHOP, so. Acapella training at this point is just a after you effect.
Yeah.
Getting rid of the Nasi hurts because that's a lot of stats. I imagine he was trying to stack up his reserve to play it.
They want to know the last card. Okay, well, they got to draw another card for the Ozma effect.
Yeah.
We got a GG from Jackman, but we've gotten one of those before, and it didn't go the way they thought, so.
I'd be curious to see how much the misplay factored into this, because it still looks like Waru probably gets the win here. Anchored aloe vera. I guess he would have gotten another resupply, and potentially could have played the Anasi earlier instead of the acapella training. And that would have put it at, what, 555?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's one of the things I like about Altered, that I think on first impression this game isn't complex, but the more you play it, the more you realize that kind of a small mistake like that can kind of change the whole course of the match.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes a good game a lot of times, right? Finding out your misplays afterwards and then trying to get better next time. Take that time. Besides, I think that was the one play when he immediately played, he just immediately played instead of taking his time as well, so
yeah,
that's unfortunate.
They saw the path and took it too quickly. We got the acapella training, as just as you described it, kind of an after you effect, making them use their last card. We got a 6/6/7.
Is able to catch up on that side, but I don't know much on the left that's going to help, and
yeah.
So I mean, realistically, it could have made a difference here.
That was the October 9th, 2024 Altered Weekly Online League. What did we think?
Um, I mean, overall, it was a surprise to get at least one new character in the top there. I don't know how the final results fell off with the Swiss, but at least having the Navenka in the top four there, as far as like quote unquote semifinals, was fun. Um, and kind of like you mentioned before, as we were talking, the games were at least close against the Waru, and we only ended up with the one from Pluka that took the whole thing instead of the entire top four being occupied by Waru.
Yeah, we talked about very early in the event that the thing we wanted to see was just more diversity. I think we were both expecting Waru to come out on top again. It's a hard matchup for a lot of decks. Just if you let it go too long, it will just grind you down. But it was nice to see the variety, especially in the top 8 and the top 16. People trying new decks. People that kind of fell off trying completely new archetypes like the Sierra control deck we saw. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, it looks like the second most represented hero is definitely the Fen. I'm just taking a look at the stats or the statistics right now. There are 6 other players that are at 5 wins, and I notice at least 3 of them are Fins. I think one at least Sigismar, and some other stuff. We'd have to dive into it a little bit more, but yeah, uh, nice to see. Happy we were able to get 64 players to kind of like even things out, even with some folks leaving. Um, and shout out to Helix for coming up with the Navenka. Appreciate that. And Pluka, just stop. You need some help. All
Yeah,
right.
it's okay. You don't have to play Waru next week. It's really okay. Play Tasia. Prove everybody wrong. We did see a decent amount of Tasia. So in that final match, we kind of saw the typical Waru game of just defending and blocking and kind of stalling long enough to get to the end. We did see a potential misplay from the Finn player. We kind of talked about it that we don't know how much that would have changed in the end, but we do think it would have possibly made the game closer.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it turned into an issue of um, Jackman on the Finn decided to cloth cocoon the Robin Hood early, and wasn't able to follow up with anything as far as a win, and allowed Waru to get a 2-0 early, which you don't see often from Waru, and that's kind of the little bit of the handoff that you get there is like you get rid of the Robin Hood and you don't have to deal with it for 4 turns, but you also give up a 2-0. And it kind of just didn't work out for him in the early draws, it seemed like, where Waru got up early, lost out on resources because of it, but was still able to pull it out at the very end there. So, um, still a good match nonetheless. Was able to make it close. Got a few GGs ahead of time, but I think that's par for the course when it comes to a few of these matches. In some cases, the people that are GGing early end up winning. So
Yeah.
what do you know?
Yeah, I think I mentioned during the match that it definitely felt like Jackman was failing to get expedition presence for a lot of the game. Unfortunate, but you learn from the experience, you move on to next week, and hopefully you play better and perform better. What are you hoping to see next week? Are you hoping people mix it up more, or do you kind of like the decks people are bringing currently?
I mean, I think the further we get along, we are going to get more of just like counterplay potentially. People are going to expect for more Waru, um, or more imitation decks, kind of like what we mentioned before, from the more and more events occur, and see how things turn out. It does. I was able to look through the top 6 or 7 for the 5 wins and 6 wins people, and we had a Tasia, a Rin and Orchid, a Sigismar, another Waru, and 2 Fins. So good mix up there. We only had 2 Fins and 2 Warus. Had a nice bit of variety. Unfortunately, the Navinka didn't get into the 5 win club, but fun nonetheless getting into the 4-0 initially. So
Yeah. Yeah, good job to all the players. I'm glad you're all experimenting, glad you're trying new things. Can't wait to see what you bring in future events. Um, Before we head out and stop commentary for the event, Blue, I know you mentioned to me before stream that you have started a YouTube channel kind of focusing on the competitive side of Altered. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can go to Blue Oak TV on YouTube. Just released a video today going over the Anji France event with over 1,000 players. Went over all the deck lists that were available for the top 16. Did a little review with one of the Exalts folks on just everything that happened at the event, and I'm also planning on getting some folks out to interview from the event and just get their thoughts on the event itself, how they feel Altered is going, especially from a European perspective, since we don't have as much hype over here in North America. Hopefully, we can build on that a little bit and get everyone a little bit more excited for Altered opposed to some of the other games and enjoy what we got going on over here.
Yeah, that I'm looking forward to those interviews greatly. Um, for people who want to find the YouTube channel as well, the final match for this event will go up on my YouTube probably tomorrow. I'm gonna try to edit it tonight. And then I'll link to Blue's YouTube as well, so you can check both of us out. That's gonna do it for us for this event. You can find me here if you feel like it. I do altered stuff usually at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, but I play much more jank decks. If you've been here before, I try to do like funny things, but everyone's welcome, obviously. I'll be here next Wednesday. If Blue's available, I'd love to have him again. But that's gonna do it for the Altered Wiki Online League commentary for the week. I hope everybody had a good time, and I'm gonna take a quick break, and I'll see everybody next time.
Bye.